Hi folks and welcome to your Gersnet Old Firm Derby Preview Pod, coming to you in association with Forest Precision Engineering. My name's Alec Anderson. I'm joining you on Good Friday. I hope you're all having a good Friday, though I don't know what this Easter, Jesus, Christianity stuff could possibly have to do with an Old Firm game, except that it means a lot of our contributors are off on their Easter holidays, our voluntary contributors, especially the chaps who have the technical know-how for production. They can make the live shows happen. That's way beyond my care. I don't even know how to describe it, never mind actually make it happen. So there is no live Friday preview pod for the second Friday in the trot, but don't worry, all holidays from now until the end of the season have been cancelled. The Friday preview pods will be back next Friday, and this Sunday we'll have your usual flagship show, 9:30, live on the YouTube channel. Craig, Colin, Gary, they'll be reviewing all the events at Parkhead tomorrow. Will it be a celebration of football and the most beautiful sport on this planet, i.e. Celtic have won, or will it be a disgusting, comment on the Masonic conspiracy that ruined Scottish society, i.e. Rangers get a bit of a result? One thing's for sure, I think we all need our team to start doing the talking for us on the park tomorrow. I'm not trying to say we haven't been great this season under Michael Beale so far, that the performances haven't perhaps matched the results, but Michael Beale himself, in today's press conferences at Auchenhowie, himself and James Tavernier talking to the press ahead of this one, very carefully negotiating the line between making sure there was a sense of momentum maintained, talking about how we've won our last 10 straight league games, but also trying to make sure it didn't give the Celtic team anything to stick up in the dressing room notice board tomorrow ahead of this derby by kind of not refusing to poo-poo the chances of Rangers winning the league this season, but obviously not talking it up either. James Tavernier asked directly, do you need to win tomorrow to win the league? And he kind of tried to straight bat it. Michael Beale not getting into that at all. Very keen to point out that if we did win tomorrow, it would just be one performance and another 3 points. But at the same time, it would let us know who we could, who was going to stand up and be counted in this Rangers team. He's putting it on the players, Michael Beale. I think he's saying to them, we've got to do something here. Listen, Michael Beale has beaten everybody that he's faced since he come back as Rangers manager. He's beaten everybody in the top flight in Scotland except St Mirren, who he hasn't come up against yet. We haven't played St Mirren since Michael Beale arrived back as manager, and except Celtic. But we've played them twice, and it's getting to the point where actually his success against everybody else. For example, I think we played St Johnstone in the Scottish Cup at McDermott, but he's actually beaten 6 of the teams in the league, home and away, Michael Beale, since he arrived. Half the league. But it's just emphasising the fact that the one team he hasn't beat is the one we most want to beat. Listen, guys, you'll be the same as me. You probably got that email today, but being part of Ibrox DNA, do you want to become part of Rangers history by getting your photograph put in the mural that's the Wall of Champions, just kind of off Mafeking Street, just in for the old Ibrox shop? Good way for the club to make money, absolutely perfect. But I think we know that for a manager like Michael Beale to become part of the Rangers DNA, to become part of Ibrox history, he needs to beat Celtic. It's almost a year. I think we're 10 days shy of an exact year since Rangers beat Celtic in any competition, and we beat them that Scottish Cup semi-final. Michael Beale wasn't here, but the fact we play them now 5-6 times this season means this is becoming a bit of an issue. We've drawn 2 and lost 3 of our last 5 league games against Celtic. It's August 2021 since we last beat them in the league. Big Phil Hollander with that goal, the 1-0 win at Ibrox at a time we thought Ange Postecoglou was a bit of a joke. That was Steven Gerrard was the manager then. It's getting to the point we really need a result against Celtic. I'd be somebody who normally I've got kind of black, dark fatalism about me when it comes to Old Firm games. I would be thinking, oh well, if we win tomorrow, that means they're definitely going to scalp us in the Scottish Cup semi-final. But it's getting to the point, if we don't beat Celtic soon, they're going to scalp us in everything for the coming future, the foreseeable future. And I think Michael Beale knows that. He was talking about getting close to them on the park tomorrow, about a need to start fast. We ain't got time for people to wait, was what Michael Beale was saying to his players. And I think that's absolutely fine, because we need to do something. We need to stop Celtic's 100% record at home. That'd be a lovely kind of scalp to take. We need to remind them that Ange was a bit of a joke up until Steven Gerrard get poached by Aston Villa, up until Celtic. We did that whole thing where they got the league was stopped, the season, the break in the season was brought forward to accommodate the COVID. It was dodgy, but they have scalped us twice in the last 3 times we've been to Parkhead. That needs to be addressed. Beale himself very careful today to point out, almost grumpily, that it was Giovanni Van Bronckhorst was the manager the last 3 times we went to Parkhead. new manager, new players. He was talking about today. So there's a real kind of fine balance in that going on with Michael Beale's answers to questions today. It's like he knows we don't have the requisite amount of confidence in ourselves yet, but also that we need to win this game. We need to win this game tomorrow. When I think about Michael Beale's his substitutions in games, sometimes he's bringing on players who are returning from fitness. Like his very first game, we only had John Lundstrom and James Sands, I think, playing at centre half against Hibs in that 3-2 win. Hibs have been ahead twice in that game. But at the end of the game, we're only winning by one goal, like 5-6 minutes to go plus injury time. And Michael Beale brings on Ben Davies, who's recovering from injury because he just needs to get a centre half ready. He's always looking ahead. He's always looking forward, and almost precariously so. And that's something that he's trying out this back three, the three centre halves, 2 or 3 times in the last few league games when we're winning the game maybe by a couple of goals, but we're not in that situation where we can say that we're confident 2 goals up in any game just now. We're not at that point. We're developing under Michael Beale yet, but he does it because he needs it to happen. And I'll say worried. I'm actually more interested in what the lineup's going to be tomorrow, because I have a funny feeling there's 2 things going to happen. 2 things I'm really thinking about tomorrow that could be kind of revolutionary. This constant talk about a back 3, which is basically it's 3 centre halves. Now you play the 2 fullbacks, they become a back 5. You look at what we've done in our previous 2 games against Celtic under Michael Beale. We started horrifically defensively in that game in January, the league game at Ibrox. It was comic cuts, the comic capers. We gifted them a goal right at the start of the game, and we basically gifted them a goal at the end of the game by bringing on James Sands and saying we're going to try and start defending a really precarious lead with, although it was 2 minutes to go in the game, I think it was 5 minutes to go when Sands come on, we knew there was going to be a lot of injury time. It was basically 10 minutes to go. You're only winning by a single goal against a team you need to beat who've been scoring goals for fun all season. It was a bad move by Michael Beale, but we were unable to affect it as well because we're defensively poor. You look at this goal we lost, not just in the League Cup final against Celtic at Hampden, but against Motherwell, the opening 2 or 3 minutes against Motherwell at Fir Park, 3 weeks back in our last but one league game, where they just the ball gets cut across almost our 6-yard box from the wing, and you're just watching a lot of Rangers centre half. There's only 2, that's the whole point. Not so much kind of flailing at the ball, just almost kind of pointing their feet at the ball just to say, oh, that's that ball that we can't quite cut out, and the opposition centre forward is going to walk into the back of the net now. I can see why you would go back 3 centre halves, give you an extra centre half, try to cut that ball out. But also Parkhead, no away fans. That was a lot was made of that today by some of the hacks at press conferences today. Obviously, wanting Michael Beale and James Tavernier to say, "Oh yeah, we want to see the full allocation given back to Celtic support. We want the full allocation of Rangers supporters back at Parkhead," just to try and create a bit of political controversy. But we can't ignore the fact that if Celtic, there's no club in the world, fans, players, or board who smell blood the way Celtic do and know how to exploit it. If they're in party mood tomorrow, they know what they've done to us. 2 of the last 3 times Rangers have turned up at Parkhead, been 3-0 up on us, going on 8-0 by half time. If they are in the mood tomorrow, it could really go bad for us. I can see why you might want to plug it up, Michael Beale, and I can see why, particularly when I think of it being John Lundstrom, who becomes the extra centre half. John Lundstrom, who, you remember, he played Ross County up at Dingwall. He was just he's not an extra centre half. He's just using that as a starting position. So you can see more of the pitch in front of him. That was the talk from Michael Beale after that one. We won that game 1-0. We didn't concede any goals, but Lundstrom himself has also gone to centre half last season during that European run under Giovanni van Bronckhorst to the final in Seville of the Europa League. Connor Goldson, and this season, Connor Goldson and Ben Davies are used to having John Lundstrom back there, or just sat in front of them as a kind of deep line midfielder. So I wouldn't be 100% surprised if we did do the old back three. I was last week talking to Colin after the game against United. I was like, please God, don't do that. Don't try that at Parkhead. But if you look at it more as a back 5, that lets us, if we keep both, James Tavernier and Borna Barisic or Ridvan Yilmaz, I'm not actually bothered which one these days. If you keep both of them on the park as well, you can go attacking. You could even be pushing John Lundstrom forward if you think that's the case. Because the one thing about Michael Beale just now is its flexibility. He wants as much flexibility as possible in game, and that leads me to the other thing that I'm kind of obsessed with this week, and this is one of those points, you've all got those disclaimers on your Twitter bios saying, this is my views, not the views of my employer. Well, this is my views, not the views of everybody. If I want to get back on Gersnet, I need to make this perfectly clear that this is just something I am thinking about, but I can imagine us not starting with Alfredo Morelos or Antonio Cholak tomorrow. I'm not saying that's likely to happen, but I don't think it's completely unbelievable. Because I can't see how we can drop Malik Tillman. We have this thing going on where it has to be Tillman or Cantwell. We need to find a way to get Tillman and Cantwell on the pitch at the same time. I don't think there's any question about that. Malik Tillman has scored our last 3 league goals. Now, the third or the first of that 3, if you like, was the fourth and final goal of our trip to Fir Park, and that was teed up by one Alfredo Morelos who'd come off the bench with Tillman and did very well. It was a brilliant assist. But the goal we scored before Tillman's one of 3 goals, it was Todd Cantwell. The goal before that was Fashion Sakala. Fashion Sakala, who went down the left-hand side and caused havoc against Hibs at Easter Road, who went down the right-hand side and caused havoc against Hearts at Tynecastle in a game that Tillman was playing. Now, I know Alfie played in that game as well against Hearts at Tynecastle. Those 2 trips to Edinburgh were 2 best away performances this season, and tomorrow is the hardest away trip we'll have domestically this season. So I don't see how Fashion could be dropped. Cantwell he's undroppable just now. Tillman, undroppable. Ryan Kent, again, a man who's freeing up that left-hand side. This new role he's got, sitting behind a front 2 now. He doesn't have to play like that against Celtic. You wouldn't expect him to play like that against Celtic, but he's not your kind of outside left or inside left that he was up until Michael Beale arrived as manager. He's keep that side's definitely free for example. Fashion Sakala to run wild down, and he's done well against Celtic. I know he can have those horror misses like he had from 2 yards out in the League Cup final against Celtic, but he also turned round the game at Ibrox in January in the league against Celtic last time we played them in the league. Done well against them last season in the Scottish Cup semi-final, coming on and basically almost scoring the goal that won the game. It ended up being an own goal just with the run that he made, and he was fantastic against them at Parkhead in May last season when he scored and could have had another one to actually win the game. Fashion Sakala does the business against Celtic. He does the business for Michael Beale a lot. He's part of that fluidity. He's part of that running in behind against teams who want to attack us. And my God, does anybody want to attack us the way Celtic will at Parkhead? I can't see Cantwell being dropped. I can't see Tillman being dropped. I can't. If Raskin is what I'm questioning. I don't know. Michael Beale's known to do this. He'll top players up when they're coming back from injury, and then they never quite come back from injury. But the word on the street from Michael Beale is that Raskin is fit. He's had 3 or 4 training sessions this week. He is available for selection, according to the manager. I would like Raskin in that case to play. I think most of us would, after he didn't start in the League Cup final, and that proved to be slightly fatal in that game. I would want Ryan Jack to babysit him. You've got Cantwell in there as well. You've got Kent. That's your 6. I can't see a place for Alfredo Morelos, who, don't get me wrong, if there's one player I would love to see scoring a winner tomorrow, it's Alfredo Morelos. The one player more than anybody else I'd love to see getting a hat-trick tomorrow, it'd be Alfredo Morelos. But Alfie, I think against Celtic, I saw him he scored in the game the last time I saw Rangers playing against Celtic. Alfie scored right in front of us all at Hampden in that League Cup final. We were 2-0 down at the time. He's shooting towards the Rangers end. Alfredo Morelos is a guy who loves to goad opposition fans, and my God, there will be 60,000 of the opposition fans he hates more than anybody else in that ground tomorrow. But I think he's so desperate to score against Celtic for most of his Ibrox career that he's thinking about goading their fans before he actually makes that final connection in front of goal, and that's why he's only scored 1 at Ibrox, 1 at Parkhead, and 1 at Hampden against them. I think that could come into the thinking of the manager, as is Alfie's comparative lack of movement if we're going to be hitting on the counter tomorrow. If we go with the back 4 that you'd expect us to go with, that Tav, Goldson, Ben Davis, and one of either of Barisic or Ridvan, I can't really see a place for Alfredo Morelos in my preferred setup. But of course, he's probably going to play tomorrow, Alfie. But it's just one thing I don't know if we're going to go with this back 3 that will become a back 5 to help us, cut out these balls coming across us that Celtic have torn us to pieces with in the worst of the Old Firm defeats we've had against Postecoglou's side, or just as a goal that we're susceptible to, or just to kind of stem the onslaught from a completely green and white Parkhead tomorrow. and I don't know if Alfie's going to play. If we do play with the four at the back, I don't know if Alfie would necessarily get the team, because Tillman, Sakala, Ryan Kent, you get the movement. You get the movement you would get for these guys if you've got Raskin and Ryan Jack sitting there to kind of hold the midfield would be absolutely fantastic. But these are two things to bear in mind. I'm not going to make any predictions other than I think we need to at least avoid defeat tomorrow to maintain a sense of momentum under Michael Beale. We absolutely have to win to have any chance of winning the league title, and we don't give up on that until it's mathematically impossible. We're definitely into the realms of it being. It'd be pretty much a surprise if Rangers won the league. It'd be one of the biggest surprises in the history of Scottish football if we were to actually turn this round just now, even if we did win tomorrow. But for Michael Beale, as the emphasis was in his press conference today, for us to get anywhere under the management of Michael Beale, we need to start beating Celtic, and it needs to start tomorrow. We ain't got time for people to wait, said Michael. Well, we are the people, Michael, and we can't wait any longer. So best of luck to Rangers tomorrow, and hopefully we'll see you guys at 9:30 the YouTube channel on Sunday night. Enjoy the game, folks.